Well, we'll keep the map for now. So Canterbury's fairly new to the Chilean needlegrass situation compared to the likes of Marlborough, potentially Hawke's Bay. We first discovered it in 2008 on a newly developed vineyard at Spotswood near Cheviot. From there, obviously, we had to move into quite an investigative program to figure out what all the pathways were to and from the vineyard. And then over the next few years, we discovered the remainder of the sites. If you have a look on the map there, that cluster of dots is basically the Spotswood area. The dot where my cursor is at the moment, that's basically where the vineyard's located. And these other sites, all of them had links to the vineyard property in one form or another, whether it be grazing animals or machinery or previous land managers travelling to and from the vineyard. Anyway, currently we know of it occurring on 26 properties in Canterbury, affecting, when I say affecting 559 hectares, it doesn't mean we've got 559 hectares of Chilean needlegrass. It's just that is the area that is we see deemed to be as affected by the infestations. Last season, 20 of the properties were active, and we could not find anything at 5 of the properties. Now, just to give that a bit of context also, we really only have 2 significant needlegrass infestations, one being the vineyard and the other being the property to the north, which from all accounts the two are, there's no association between the two as far as the infestations go. So that sort of put up some warning bells back then when we found it. Of the 26 properties, 5 are district roads. One is a section of state highway adjacent to the vineyard, and the 20 rest are private properties, 2 vineyards, 2 lifestyle blocks, and 16 hill country farms. So the other vineyard's located down near Waipara, but that wasn't an extensive infestation like the Spotswood one. Basically, it was an area, as we've discovered, it was a site where a digger had been brought onto the property and had been brought on dirty, and it was washed down at the location where we found the needlegrass, and lo and behold, needlegrass erupted at that location. The other site, it's also in this little cluster here, but it's actually some distance, is at Omahi, and it's a bit of a puzzle to us as to how it may have originated, because it doesn't have any association with the Spotswood area, nor the Parnassus infestation. Similarly, the site here at the bottom, west of Christchurch, is a lifestyle block at West Melton. So yeah, again, we could not find any association between that and what we already knew of. Yeah, I'll sort of go into what I've just talked about as far as the infestation distributions, densities, the perceived plant population. Most of the known sites this season is down, and we can verify that with plant counts at some of the locations. The large dense patches of plants at original sites certainly do not exist any longer, but scattered plants continue to be found at these sites. Plant numbers have remained constant at the vineyard site at Spotswood since the initial knockdown control, but there's even populations within that site where they're reducing well. Our control programs, like we work closely with the affected property owners, with the smaller ones by security staff, do the control work. The larger 4 properties, they engage private contractors to do the work, and we monitor those closely and inspect at the end of the season. So yeah, our program looks a bit like this. So we've got occupier management agreements for every property that is affected by needlegrass, small and large. The inspections are controlled by security staff, as I said, and we'll do control work at those locations multiple times throughout the summer season, as well the contractors on the larger properties, because that's dictated by the seasonal conditions, as I think most of you can appreciate. There can be quite a difference in plant behaviour depending on the season. On that note, I think it was 2022, we had quite a warm, damp summer that dragged on through to about May. I took the opportunity to collect panicles from the end of February through to the beginning of May, 2 weekly periods, and sent them to Landcare Research to have them tested for viability. Interestingly enough, about 25% of the seed we collected at the end of April produced live plants. Fortunately, since that season, we haven't had a similar season. So, but just a heads up that some of those panicles, that they will produce viable seed in the autumn period if the conditions are right. So we've also got quite an extensive search program. Basically, we follow any associated links or pathways to the affected properties. That sort of dictates our search program, including roadsides and watercourses. Yeah, and so land, that's also includes land on affected properties where there is no known infestation. So, like some of those properties might only have one small area of their property with needlegrass. So we'll do search work on the remainder of the property to make sure it's nowhere else or perhaps spreading. And interestingly enough, it sort of ties in with one of the things that Liam was talking about as far as spread. A couple of the properties, although we've got the population down, we're beginning to find isolated plants in parts of the property where we hadn't found them in the past. I imagine a lot of that's seed being spread by animal hooves, moving soil with seed in it. So we've also got Archie, our detector dog, Lauren's dog. I think Lauren's going to give us a brief talk on that after me. Is that right?
Yep, if Lauren's there, that would be great. Yep.
I think Lauren's here. Anyway, I'll let Lauren talk about Archie, but he's successfully been trained to detect needlegrass as well as some other plant pest species. He successfully passed his exam last year, and he's always been a valuable member of our team because we knew he was good right from the beginning. So he can detect small plants at any time of the year that we would usually pass by because we just do not see them. So it's hoped with his help we can further reduce some of our niggly populations. Awareness. So we do have we had an extensive awareness program when we first discovered needlegrass in 2008. That continued for 2 to 3 years, and we've maintained media releases, and newspaper articles closer to the beginning of each season, which does produce some reports from the public. But I'll talk a bit further down about our issues going forward about that. And yeah, as we've all learnt today, we had one of the releases of the new biocontrol rust, which appears to have established at the Spotswood location. And I've been asked to go and have a look in the next coming weeks, just to do another check to see if we've still got an establishment. So expect to hear from me shortly. So yeah, going forward, yeah, our issues are, you'll appreciate the size of the Canterbury region and the potential area of land where Chilean needlegrass could do extremely well. So where else is it? This is our big concern. We need an army out there that know what they're looking for So yeah, the awareness thing is a big thing for us, and yeah, I don't have to mention the threats from the likes of Marlborough. It's just at our back door, sneaking closer. So we try and maintain communications with Marlborough, work together on pathway management. So, but yeah, the awareness thing. So Bill's talk about his, I mean, to me, he's basically accepting he's not going to get rid of needlegrass, so he's learning how to farm with it, or learned how to farm with it, and potentially some of the Marlborough properties are in that similar situation. But here's a sort of a typical North Canterbury, or an area of North Canterbury farmland. I mean, you can't run around that country with a tractor and a weed wiper, obviously. So what we're really trying to do is avoid it getting any further into this sort of country. One of the properties, the Parnassa site, is similar to this country, and it's a nightmare. It involves hundreds of hours of control each year to basically keep the plants in check. You know, I wouldn't say control the needlegrass on the property, because you'll never get every plant. So he's just holding it at this stage. So we hopefully we'll contain it on there. But yeah, that's just a bit of an insight into what we're dealing with. So open for questions. If not, we'll let Lauren have a wee chat about her work with Archie.
Well, no, I've got one. So in Marlborough, we've got the Chilean Needlegrass Action Group, and Bill talked about his community getting fired up. Is there anything similar in Canterbury?
We used to have a Chilean needlegrass group, but we had a very active chairman, which I'm sure a lot of you know, Charles Whiffen, who's sadly passed on, but he was very active and very good at promoting. We're sort of lacking a spearhead, I think, for that sort of group currently, and I think perhaps, I could be wrong, perhaps the community thinks, oh, you know, we've got it under control. There's no real need for an action group, but you know, I would argue that what's the harm if there's interested parties in it, and feasibly all hill country farmers should be interested in keeping this out of the rest of Canterbury. Yep.
All right, well, we'd love to hear about Archie then.
Cool. I'll stop sharing.
Cool. I'll see if I can share my screen. Hold on. Is that working for you guys?
Yep, I can see that.
Yep.
Cool.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks, Noel.